Hey everybody, I just wanted to pop in before the show for two reasons. First, I wanted to say I'm sorry it took us so long to get this episode out. And then the second thing I wanted to say is that there's some breathing noises that come through. They're my fault. I'm sorry. But I'll have it fixed for next week. So sorry about that. And enjoy the show.
That better not be what I think it is. And I think it's a Game Boy. Is it a Game Boy?
Yeah, Dad, it's a Game Boy.
That's a video game. I told you, no video games.
Hello and welcome to 5 on the 5, where 5 guys talk about a game for $5. This week we are talking about the Legacy of Kain, not Blood Omen, because that's the other one. Soul Reaver. This week we are talking about Soul Reaver, Legacy of Kain, from the year something something. I don't remember what year it came out.
1999.
1999.
1999.
Good vintage.
1999. This is the Robo So Nice They Named Him Twice, Double Robo, a.k.a. Sean, as your host. I also have with me a man so reviled even his games won't open up to him, the Headhunter, a.k.a. Skylar.
Greetings, subjects.
I also have with me, coming soon to a history class near you, hide your kids, hide your wife, Night Train, a.k.a. Jordan.
I mean, really all you have to do is hide the children. I mean, wives, that's a whole nother ballgame.
Husband,
Jordan, you never know. The ladies want to learn about ancient Constantinople. That's the ticket in.
They want to learn about something Constantinople, if you know what I mean.
I don't know what that means. I'm going to assume it was an innuendo.
Oh, dear.
Josh, do you have a comment?
No.
It's straight from the submarine.
Yeah.
Wait, we're gonna get to Submarine Man here in a second. Just wait a sec.
Okay.
Just wait a sec. We're gonna get to the man from the submarine. But first, I have with me the man who knows quality is better than quantity, Subtotal Broom, aka Evan.
What up?
Finally, I have with me Quantity, Danger Whisk, aka Josh.
I could
Straight
hear the sound of the bag of dicks you're chewing on.
Oh, whoa, man. Now we go
Okay,
live
seriously?
to the submarine for the weather.
Yeah.
This is Dangerous reporting from the HMS Skylar's Not Funny.
I like that
This,
ship. It was well made.
this is Danger Whisk reporting from the SS. This looks like a dong because mine isn't.
Oh, this is Danger Whisk reporting from the Mariana Trench, where we're setting up for that Pacific Rim movie where all the things are coming out of the ocean.
This is Danger Whisk reporting from the only thing he has that's Longhorn full of semen. Okay, so
You know what? I think it would be much more disturbing if I was recording this podcast using my penis. I'm not going to lie. I actually think that would be way more disturbing than recording from a submarine.
something tells me you'd get better sound quality out of that.
If you want a testimony, ask Skylar's mom.
Oh.
Josh, stop
Okay,
trying.
well,
You're
next-
just gonna have to let this happen. You're just
Yeah.
gonna have to let it happen.
Next time you talk, everyone realizes what's happening.
Next show, get excited. Skylar's mom will be a guest.
Yeah.
Next
Special
show,
guest.
I have a non-broken microphone.
So he claims.
Well,
so anyway,
we can-
what game did we play?
we can dream. So the game that we played was not was it Steel Diver? Is that what the 3DS submarine game was called? Yeah, it was. I think it was Steel Diver. No, we did not play that. Instead, this week we played Legacy of Kain, Soul Reaver. So quick story here. This happens 1,500 years after the events of Blood Omen in the world of Nosgoth. You play as Raziel, a vampire that was cast to an eternity in the hellish spectral realm Lake of the Dead area place. Vampires have become supreme beings, and humans are almost extinct, and when they are alive, they look like terrible character models with a face painted on them. Once he is in the Lake of the Dead, Raziel meets an elder god who wants him to become the Soul Reaver and overthrow Kain. In your first fight with Kain, he tries to kill you with his Soul Reaver sword, and it shatters, and now you have it on your arm, and it looks like a lightsaber version of the Assassin's Creed blades. You travel through different places.
Accurate.
Yeah, that's exactly what it looks like. At least to me it was. You travel through different places, defeating the old generals of Kain, who have become mutated abominations, like a giant slug guy that you crush under a spinny, circly thing. and many other fun things. Every time you beat a boss, you gain another power that helps you get around the world, including the ability to scale walls and phase through solid gates and other stuff. In the final boss fight, both you and Kain go through a time portal made by Mobius, the time streamer, and it's a cliffhanger because this game was supposed to be one whole game and it got split into 2 games because money sucks. So more on that.
I picture Mobius the time streamer streams on Twitch TV sometimes.
Yeah, he is. You can
/Mobius.
That's right.
Yeah, you can
Also,
watch him
also my
playing up-to-date
second favorite-
games.
Definitely my second favorite Legacy of Kain game. My first favorite is Legacy of Michael Caine, in which you play a British actor going after an Oscar.
Wow.
Yeah, whatever.
That's a point-and-click game.
Oh
right?
wait!
Yeah.
Wait, I have one for that.
Thank you. I'll be here all week.
There you go. Okay, so the next thing we're gonna head on to, Skylar, do you have any news for us in the Situation Room?
Gotta play the bumper.
Gosh, I have lots of news.
I know. I'm just teasing it, Jordan. I'm teasing the Situation Room, and then
I
he's
fucking love that
gonna
bumper.
say, and then he's gonna say yes, and then we're gonna go to the Situation Room. That's how it works.
Do it again.
Okay. All right. Okay. So
Baby,
Skylar,
tease
do we have any news down in the Situation Room? This is a rhetorical question, Jordan. Don't say anything. Okay, go
I
Skylar.
have 2 words for you: bacon and bacon.
Okay.
That was 3.
From Colorado's news leader,
This is the Situation Room with Skylar. God help us all.
All right. So we are down in the Situation Room. Skylar, why don't you tell us about what was going on the year that Legacy of Kain came out?
Greetings, humans. This is Skylar from the Situation Room.
This is
Let me just say, yep. Thank you for getting my reference. Just because I know you all are interested about the bacon prices of 1999, 1 pound of bacon cost $2.59.
How times have changed.
Yes. In equally important news, the human population of the world surpassed 6 billion.
That's less important. Shut up.
In more important news, Bertrand Piccard and Brian Jones circumnavigated the world in a hot air balloon without stopping. I assume they just peed off the side.
Number 1, take this balloon. That was my terrible Captain Picard.
Number 1, I have a balloon full of urine for you.
In technology news, MySpace was officially introduced to the internet, Bluetooth was announced, and Napster was initially released.
Wow.
Oh, Napster.
Imagine
Good
a world
times.
without MySpace. Oh wait, we're in that world.
I was gonna say, you mean today?
No, MySpace is all hip. Didn't you see their trailer with JT in it?
Did you see, by the way, some guy tweeted Tom from MySpace, and he was like, "Hey Tom,
I
how
brought
does
this
it
up
feel to
last
have-"
week, Josh.
I was gonna say,
we
did you
talked
bring this
about
up on the last show?
I made this
You know
exact same joke last week.
Mobius took me through his time machine. Okay.
Oh yeah, okay.
Yeah.
It was
And then
Mobius
so
time traveler made me forget.
I have a special feature for you this episode. It's world record vegetables from 1999. The
Also a
first
favorite of
pumpkin-
Skylar's mom.
Yes, the first pumpkin ever over 1,100 pounds.
And I was
1,131 pounds, Josh.
I was gonna say,
and-
this was before Terry Schiavo, right? So that joke would be appropriate.
Yes.
Ooh.
So not
Too
okay.
soon.
Here, Josh,
Too
you
soon.
get a second one of these.
Give it to him.
I'm sorry. You're the HMS submarine. It's called the HMS No Tact.
Oh, yeah.
Isn't
then
that
lastly-
just where you live? Do you ever leave that?
I've been known to. Wrong station.
I don't believe it.
Okay,
Wow.
Skylar, what's the last thing from the Situation Room?
The garden beet, aka the Beta vulgaris, 42.75 pounds, the 1999 world record. Beets take about 4 months to grow, with the pH about 6. And
pH
apparently,
of 6.
the guy at this website who had his picture with the beet says, "As you can see from my expression, it required a lot of effort to harvest this monster beet. I have to take a rest before going to the state fair with the beet."
I feel
It looks
like
like-
you should have said something about him beating the competition.
Yeah,
Josh, do I really
Skylar.
have to play this again?
Whatever, man.
It looks like he's got the beat. He's got the beat. He's got the beat.
Oh, no.
Oh my god.
The only thing
So,
worse
yeah.
than Josh being in a submarine is Josh being in a submarine and trying to sing.
Oh god.
Fun, man.
True
Oh man.
that.
Okay.
These are
All right,
complicated
Jordan. Do you want to hit us with some history about Legacy of Kain?
Preferably
Yes, absolutely.
vegetable related.
I went through here and I don't believe there's anything vegetable related. Unless you wanted.
Some.
Yes, Raziel's head was actually designed to be in the shape of a tomato. Bet you didn't know
I
that.
would say it's more like garlic.
It actually is kind of garlicky. Anyway, all right. Also, everyone will have to forgive me for my voice on this show. It's a little beat up after a long day. So, the game was designed by Silicon Knights and Crystal Dynamics, and they based the game on researched vampire lore and other texts. The idea of the fallen. Sorry, what?
Sorry, that's confusing. It was made by Crystal Dynamics. Silicon Knights made the original Blood Omen that this was a sequel to.
Right.
Actually, something worth pointing out, the team that worked on this game was only 12 people, which is really small for a game
Yeah,
of this
it was
size.
small. Essentially, so Silicon Knights was making a Blood Omen 2 that was going to be like really fast action game, and Crystal Dynamics wanted to make a puzzle game in that same universe. So that was the original idea. Anyway, keep going. Sorry.
Anyways, the idea of the fallen vampire comes from Paradise Lost. It, like Sean just mentioned, it was kind of developed alongside Blood Omen 2, but the Soul Reaver was designed for more kind of puzzle solving instead of action. So eventually the two companies kind of had a falling out, and there's actually an injunction to stop advertising for the game because I think Crystal Dynamics had made the game, but they had used Silicon Knights, research and writing and things like that. So they had to cut a significant amount of stuff out of the game. Because they weren't allowed to use it. So there was like extra powers and a sword and stuff like that. And they actually left it all in the game because they didn't want to mess with the code, but they actually weren't allowed to use it. So the music in the game is adaptive and it kind of changes on your location and the things that you're doing. The game is, to anybody who's familiar with it, very widely well received. It got like a 91 on Metacritic. Most reviews put it in like the high 80s, low 90s. The atmosphere was well regarded, and the cutscenes, especially the opening one starring David Bowie. What?
No, I just put that in there because he looked like David Bowie at the beginning.
I was like, I don't ever recall reading.
Oh my God.
Before he fell into the pool of souls, he looked like David Bowie.
That's actually
Hey,
fair.
do you
Did
want
nobody
to
else see
watch
that?
my new movie Labyrinth?
Look at my
I
crotch.
was like, I did not write that, and I have no idea what that was. Okay.
I kind of hope you.
I wish David Bowie had a cameo in this game. That'd be sweet.
It seems kind of, if it had more space, it'd be pretty David Bowie.
That's true.
Anyway,
Bigger crotch bulge.
that too. So IGN reviewer called it a very ambitious game. Ambitious. That's like extra ambitious. When you're extra ambitious, you become ambitious. One that achieves nearly everything it sets out to do. However, some of the main complaints were the lack of linearity in a lot of the levels, which is definitely something that I noticed, and how the objectives were oftentimes unclear. Some other things were that the warp system, like going between the two worlds, was kind of confusing, and there were some complaints about the boss fights, but most of the complaints you find with this game are general nitpicks. And then 1UP ranks Soul Reaver second on its top 5 games that ended halfway through, kind of noting that it was pretty clear the plot and the money had kind of run out in the middle of the game.
So I have a question.
More money.
Since
Yes.
when are random symbols that have no semblance of order a bad warp system?
Yeah, that was pretty bad.
Yeah.
Also, I heard it got the reward for best human faces clumsily pasted on amorphous blobs.
That was actually an award I gave to it. I went back in time and gave it that award.
Yeah.
The time streamer
Damn it,
helped you.
Mobius.
Yeah,
I was going to say,
seriously.
I'm pretty sure that statement came from somebody on this podcast.
Yeah. Okay, Evan, do you want to read through the trivia really quick?
The front cover of the UK PlayStation version features a hologram, which, if you twist in the light, shows Raziel in the spirit world with twisted pillars found in the game. If you twist the other way, it shows him in the mortal plane with the pillars straight. Naturally, the holograms don't scan well, but you can see the cover in the cover art section with both planes dimly featured.
We probably didn't
Holograms
need
were
that
all
last
the rage
sentence.
in 1990s.
But holograms are hardcore, man. Those need to make a comeback.
That's kind of a clever idea, though, with the two.
Yeah, I think that's kind of
Yeah.
cool.
No, yeah.
And all red blood outside cutscenes were colored green in the German version.
It's Germans, man.
Right, I was thinking
Germans
Germans
very
have a
afraid of
problem with
vampire
violence.
violence.
Yep.
Throughout your journey, you'll encounter a few human survivors whose primary reaction will be to attack you. If you just run away without harming them, later in the game you'll notice that every time you run into a human, not only he won't attack you, but he will fall to his knees and bow to you.
That's pretty cool.
Interesting.
I feel
Which
horrible
would have
that I
made the
didn't make
human
a-
section much easier.
I feel horrible that I didn't make the walls will use green slime reference
Oh.
to the green blood.
God damn it!
How did you miss that?
I know.
In a call full of
ooze.
SpongeBob
You're the
fans,
worst
even.
podcaster, NA 2012 360 no scope.
Yeah, seriously.
Yep.
XX Webro
and-
420 sniper.
Second to last,
Sephiroth, bro.
Sephiroth. Yep. Sephiroth is an important addition.
Oh yeah, you're right.
Go ahead.
the
Okay.
name Raziel means God's secret in Hebrew. The protagonist of Legacy of Kain, Soul Reaver, is named after an angel in Jewish mythology, who is particularly prominent in the occult Jewish teaching Kaballah. According to it, Raziel possessed secret knowledge of the divine and wanted to share it with Adam and Eve after their expulsion from Eden. Apparently, God didn't take this lightly, further punishing the first human couple. However, Raziel was spared and is said to still be out there with all his knowledge intact.
I'm not sure
And
I would
that
call
man-
the Kabbalah a cult, but that's okay.
No, it's
No,
This is-
occult, like occult.
yeah, like the
occult.
adjective.
I know that, but I still don't think it's that.
It's kind of
it's
kind of
pretty
a
occult,
cultish.
bro.
Okay.
Three of the four Jews. on the
Madonna
show.
believes in it. I think you all need to know.
It's like halfway between Necronomicon and Passover.
Skylar,
Okay.
Skylar, 3 out of 4 Jews on this show agree.
Yeah, exactly.
That's okay. I still don't use their
That's
toothpaste.
the number you can take to the bank.
All right, and Evan, I threw that last one in there. You have to read the last one.
And last one, the goy.
The Jews are raging tonight.
Oh man, the actor who voiced Raziel, according to Jordan's spelling,
Crazy
Michael
Al.
Bell, who has been in dozens of video games as minor voices, including Druids of the Talon / Necromancers in Warcraft 3.
Sound really weird if there's like this very subtle edit, but we're talking about a completely different topic out of nowhere.
So
The
the
edit
boobies in the
comes a-
game.
Yeah.
Yeah, I actually think it looked a little better than Warcraft 3, to be totally honest.
No.
I mean, it looked a little
I don't
worse.
know. Mine,
Yeah, worse,
mine,
worse.
mine
I
had a
would say
lot
it
of
looked worse than
tearing.
Warcraft 3.
Like, I understand a lot of the stuff online said that the PC port was bad, like that the PS2 or PlayStation 1 and Dreamcast versions were a lot better. I think it was PS1, and Dreamcast versions were a lot better, and that the PC port was kind of hurried. So, but mine had like a lot of tearing and a lot of like models didn't look completely right and like that kind of stuff. I had a lot of that going on.
Yeah.
Every time I closed the game, it crashed every time I reopened it until I restarted my computer and then did random things until it worked.
Yeah.
Really?
I had a.
That happened to me with
ridiculous amount
Rayman
of
2
technical
when we were
issues.
playing that.
I didn't have any
I couldn't
problems.
alt
I
tab
bought
out
it
of
from
Rayman.
Steam, and I think that was the problem because Steam doesn't like patch their old games well.
No,
Yeah.
I got mine from GOG, and I had a ridiculous amount of problems. The most notable was a sound glitch. So I actually didn't get a very good feel for a lot of the music because it kept skipping, like it was on an old CD.
That's
The
okay,
best
you
part
didn't miss
was is
very
when you got
much.
to a cutscene and the dialogue would skip, right? So it ended up sounding exactly like Rayman, except it didn't mean to. It would be what would happen. is-
Hey.
Yeah, exactly. It would go into this is exactly what happened. It would go into a cutscene, right, and it would spin and go, Raziel. Now you picked up, and then it would just sit there, and the video would keep going until it caught up with the audio. At which point it would again. So like when you first meet that creepy lady after you defeat Kain, I have no fucking idea what any of that was because the entire thing skipped.
Awesome.
And so yeah,
I'm
That's what you
surprised.
get for playing on a Game Boy.
You have to play on a Mac.
I didn't have any problems with this game, especially because I tapped in and out about like every 10 minutes because I was looking at a
Okay.
walkthrough too.
it minimized really well. Regardless of all my problems, I never had a problem minimizing it, which was
I never had
crazy
any
for a game
problems
like
with the
this.
game. Like,
I
from the
didn't-
moment I opened it for the first time to now, like, I never ran into any problems.
You were lucky.
The only
guess
only
so.
problem I had was getting the controller to work with it, because I played it with an Xbox controller, which, by the way, was the way to play this game. The keyboard controls were
Apparently.
horrendous.
Oh.
They were
I guess we
so
should move on
bad.
and talk about controls, because
Yeah, I mean, we can.
discussion.
I almost wish we did.
Yeah, right.
Okay,
Yeah.
so who do we have talking about controls?
Well, Josh is talking about combat,
Oh.
so he could just start talking about that, and that kind of
Yeah, I guess there's nobody. I mean, I can talk really quick about my problems with keyboard controls.
for it.
It's a lot of
Go for it.
it's a lot of the same problems that I had with Rayman. It's just a really uncomfortable setup for your hands. It's like they had your right hand on the arrows, and then your left hand was, I guess, supposed to be on WASD. But like for example, to like high jump, you had to press C and spacebar or V and spacebar,
And to execute,
and then you had to
hit
like
F.
Yeah.
yeah, and you had
A
to
was
like
attack,
it.
S was sneak.
It was just really, really uncomfortable controls, which is why a controller, even though it took me an hour to set it up, because there were so many different problems, I ended up just downloading an external program that just remapped the controller like it was a keyboard, because he kept auto running. So like because there is controller support in the game, but it's support for like old controllers that had like 4 buttons and a D-pad, so he would just auto run forward. But I just don't understand why you would use those controls. I mean, I guess at the time maybe it's what people knew, but it just seemed really weird to me to not have like mouse control of the camera.
I'm not sure what the... Go ahead, Jordan.
No, you guys can.
Okay, well, I was going to say, I'm not sure why... Maybe it was just not technologically possible at the time to use mouse controls.
Yeah, I was gonna say that too. Maybe.
To like control the camera with the mouse.
Because then you'd
and
have
do
to
attacking
render
with the
like
mouse.
all of the sky and everything. I guess that's probably why.
No, that's very true. To give someone full range of view can be a problem, but still, like,
You
I
could
don't
still
know.
look around if you held control. You
Yeah.
had free.
right.
So
That's true. So I don't know. Maybe it was not in whatever.
But the
coded it
world
in,
wasn't
maybe it
having to
wasn't
actively
supported.
render that like all the time.
Still, the
Right.
camera was horrendously difficult to wrestle with.
It
Oh
was.
god, my favorite part was when the camera, like whenever you have like a block puzzle, the camera would move around walls and things like it was supposed to, but there were a lot of things that you could interact with that the camera didn't recognize as solid. So a lot of the times, like you'd be in a room where there'd be like a block or something in the way, and the camera would just keep going back and forth through it because it didn't recognize it as a solid object.
Yeah, I would like jump into
so-
the ceiling and
Yeah.
see like other parts of the level and be like, oh, I wonder when I'll get there.
Yeah. My least favorite thing about the controls, however, was walking. Like with the D-pad, I felt like, and this was the first thing that
Did
came
you
to
just call
mind.
the arrow keys a D-pad?
You know what I mean? The arrow keys. It felt like when everybody's played Ocarina of Time, right? You know that bridge in the first, in like the
I haven't.
Kokiri Forest or whatever.
Oh,
You know
do
what I
they
mean?
fall off
Yeah.
forever?
Yeah, exactly. The
Yeah.
one that's so ridiculously hard, they give you a reward for getting to the other side. That's what all of the walking felt like in this game. I fell off shit so frequently for no reason. It was
I don't-
really, really frustrating.
Yeah.
I don't
I do have to
understand. I
say,
mean,
though-
granted, I played this with the controller, so I had a very different experience than I did with Rayman. But I don't understand how you guys are having a huge problem with this game and did not have a huge problem with Rayman, because my whole experience in Rayman was like, oops, I went the way I didn't mean to. Oh, the camera moved and now I fell off. Oh, my jump went the wrong direction and now I died. Like,
Because
did you guys not have
way
that
worse.
problem with Rayman?
Yeah.
No, I thought
No.
Rayman's controls were much tighter.
Me too.
I
It
didn't-
slides really bad in this game. So like you hit a button and you like run off a platform. You just tap it and you run off the platform. I think one thing that saved the controls, or at least made them tolerable, was that you could hold space after you jumped and float slowly down.
Yes.
If that didn't exist, I would have never landed any jump.
Yeah, no, I wasn't a big fan of Rayman's controls either, but I do think they were way less jolty is a really good way to put it. And with Rayman, you had 2 buttons you ever had to use. You know what I mean? You had to use spacebar to attack and A to jump. With this, you had like S to target onto
That's true,
anything, and
yeah.
then you'd awkwardly do D and F, and then spacebar, and then C was in there, and then like
many controls. would
I
almost
guess
argue.
I just got really
Well-
spoiled by being able to use the controller. I mean, this was developed as a PlayStation game
It's
and
made for
developed with a
controller.
controller in mind, and then it was retconned for a PC. And I
like
think
I don't hold it against it. You know what I mean? I recognize
it's fine.
playing with the controller would have worked much better.
yeah, I just feel like if you haven't played this game and you want to play it to play along with the show, try and figure out how to get a controller to do
Or
it, because
pick it up on console.
Yeah,
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 or if you have it on
that's it.
you
console.
can find it cheap. Yeah.
Yeah, or I'm sure you could download it for like EPSXE. Is that what it's called? The PlayStation emulator. I'm sure you could pick it up for that.
Oh yeah.
No, not PSN, the computer emulator for PlayStation.
But yeah,
not that I'm advocating piracy. I'm just saying that that's a way to play the game if you have the disc already, or an ISO that you somehow ripped in 1999.
Do what you want because the pirate is free.
Yeah, it's PCS X2.
I thought we
That's
already
right,
discussed
okay.
no singing, Josh.
Submarine Man.
There was a song about people going to jail for piracy. It was awesome.
Okay.
Ringo.
Awesome. Okay, so yeah, shut up, Ringo.
Did I
Okay.
mention I was in the Beatles?
All right, so Josh, do you want to talk a little more about the combat?
Yeah, the combat was innovative yet funky at the same time. And it does so because you have really three major types of enemies in the game. You have your vampires, who are self-explanatorily hard to kill. Then you've got your humans, which die like chumps. And then your monsters in the underworld, which also die like chumps. But the vampire, first off, combat's a little clunky. There's like 2 combos, and they're not really combos. It's just really how fast can you mash A.
Right.
And then what is kind of cool, though, is about the grapple system, because you can't kill vampires by just stabbing them repeatedly. You have to use an environmental hazard to kill them. So either throw them into a pit of fire or water or sunlight or impale them with a weapon, which meant that you had to really be aware of how you were fighting. Now, this doesn't always work, though, because basically what every single enemy boils down to is mash A in their face until they are too bloody to stand.
Yeah, until
and
they're
then
stunned.
use F, right, and then use F to pick them up and throw them into something. But
Alternatively, run past the enemy.
Yeah, that was the big one too.
That's what I spent a lot of time doing.
Yep.
Because it's not like you have to really kill any of them. You can run by most of them, in fact.
Right, as long as there's not
Yeah.
a door right in front of you when you break from the spirit, when you break into the spirit world, and then are screwed.
Yeah.
I think that's what this game could have benefited from, was like giving me a reason to do the combat, because I agree with Josh, it was cool, like especially when I found like a cool weapon, like one of those like
weapons were
poles
awesome.
that had the skull on the top with like the cross and whatever. Like some of those weapons were really cool, and like once I found one, I took it with me and I felt really happy about it. But like I think they could have gone more RPG almost, and like, you know,
I was gonna say,
harvesting the souls was experience, or I don't know, something like that. But
that was the thing, is you get a lot of upgrades and weapons, sort of. You get the Soul Reaver blade, and then you get the ability to shoot laser beams from your eyes. Not literally, of course, but you get like kind of a psychic punch thing. And there were some cool upgrades you get as you beat bosses. Of course, you know, you gain new weapons and abilities, but none of them really felt like you ever moved away from the punch, throw you into fire.
Punch, F. You know,
Right.
to
Yeah,
kill them
well,
in some
and
way.
Yeah, impaling was really satisfying, though, to be
Yeah.
honest.
yeah, the impaling was really cool.
Punch,
Go,
punch, lift and throw to punch, Soul Reaver.
Yeah.
Yep.
But what was cool is there's a ton of things just littered around the stages. And,
Yeah.
you know, there are torches on the walls and ceremonial weapons. And you can pick
Except
up
that you have to throw them exactly the right way, and
Yeah,
that was
that
what
was
kind of
pretty
bothered me. It was like I can't tell you how many times if I didn't have a weapon, I would end up throwing somebody like 12 different times, and I was like, this feels a little
get them.
ridiculous.
Yep.
There
Yeah,
was
the
some
fire should have been bigger.
Yeah.
weapons. You know, weapons were not reusable, but torches were, and I found that really
No,
cool.
weapons
That
No,
were
it was
weapons
it,
were-
it was the
you
other
said
way
that
around.
backwards.
break. A lot of them would break.
No, I
What?
don't.
No,
no,
they
weapons
wouldn't.
broke. Torches and
No.
rocks broke.
I could
Yeah,
see
torches and
maybe
rocks
that's
broke.
my game.
I think you
With-
just ran away too fast before
You
the
could-
enemy decayed.
To relight torches.
Yeah, you could relight torches, but the weapons didn't break. You just wait for the enemy to completely die, and
Yeah.
then pick it up
Pick it
again.
back.
Though quite a few times, you know, if you
I-
killed an enemy too close to a wall or something like
Yeah.
that,
Yeah,
you
they would glitch
would be
out
kind of
sometimes.
screwed. Yeah,
I just didn't have the patience.
that explains a lot.
Wow,
Well,
that
I thought
doesn't
the
surprise
combat
me
was
at all.
cool, though. The problem I kind of like 2 problems with it. I really liked how, you know, like when you were locked in a room with something, you had to like look around for environmental ways to kill things. I thought
Yeah.
that was really cool. The problem was if you ever had to fight like more than 2
I
enemies
was
at a time,
literally about to say that.
you were absolutely fucked, because there was no way to hit anything without locking onto them, and you can only lock onto one thing at a time. So you had to lock onto them, stun them, and then find a way to kill them. And if there was more than 2 things in a room, that just wasn't happening. You were just more likely to run away.
And you could
Yeah,
never
but Jordan,
absorb a soul if there was
Exactly.
another thing attacking you.
The absorbing souls thing was really annoying, but it wasn't really that hard to fight more than one enemy at a time because they all went to the Jet Li enemy school of fighting one-on-one. Like they would like circle around you while you were fighting another one and just like stand there and let you kill the other guy.
That's true.
That's right.
So the other problem I have with the combat is that it was completely pointless. It served no purpose.
That was
even when I found out when you died, and we can talk about this later, like dying carried almost no consequence at all.
It had no penalty other than run and go
it
find
carried
a
it
portal.
carried an annoyance consequence, but
extreme annoyance, just like exiting the game.
yeah. But no,
Anyway,
I thought the combat was cool. Just like a lot of the cool gimmicks in this game, it got tired and felt underdeveloped. You know what I mean?
So
it could have had a lot
while
more
we're talking about combat, Evan, you want to talk about the bosses?
Yeah, sure. And kind of on the same topic of like lacking depth and other things, I found a lot of the bosses to be very easy.
They were, yeah,
and like surprisingly easy. I know for a fact that it took, I would say, probably less than 2 minutes for me to kill Kain the first time. And just because all you had to do was hit him 3 times with an attack, and he died. But all the bosses, I mean, they all seem to have like one way for them to die, which was usually pretty simple. Especially if you kind of knew what you were doing. I will admit, though, I was using from time to time a walkthrough because I did get kind of lost for like 40 minutes, actually, trying to find Kain. I couldn't really figure out what they wanted me to do after I killed the first boss. And yeah, like a lot of the bosses just they seemed not very important, I guess.
Well, they were underdeveloped. Yeah, I want my bosses to be hard. Like when I get to a boss in a game, I want that to be like the climax of that area where it's like an intense fight and I like die and have to actually like try hard. But
no, exactly. Like and what Jordan was saying, like just the whole game, I felt kind of underdeveloped, including the bosses, in the fact that I watched the other bosses on YouTube just to see what they were, because I didn't get all the way through the game.
It's a pretty long game.
Yeah,
that's true.
None of them were hard. Like none of them were hard to get to, and hard to beat. And usually you could even beat them without losing much life at all. So I don't know. I thought that usually bosses being hard and kind of being like the ending of a segment, I felt like it was just another unit that took more than one stab to kill, I guess.
That's a good.
I thought they were remarkably straightforward, considering how unstraightforward all the levels and puzzles were.
Yes.
Seriously.
Yeah. It wasn't as much that the bosses were easy for me, although they were, but it was more that contrast of like the combat was so goddamn hard. Like I would find myself dying to like 2 fucking enemies. And then a boss, I would be like, oh, well, this was kind of easy. Like, they kind of suffered from Zelda syndrome, where it was like, each boss had a gimmick, and once you figured out what the gimmick was, then you won.
It was face roll.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Right.
I just felt like the combat wasn't deep enough to justify the boss fights and make them challenging. Like, in a game like Ninja Gaiden or Shinobi or Devil May Cry or Bayonetta or one of those,
where the combat system's really deep.
Right, the combat's deep and there's fun and depth to it, and it makes it like you're rolling around doing stuff.
Is it deeper than your submarine though?
But I feel like when I'm playing playing Soul Reaver, it's just like run up to boss, A, run away, A, run away. And it's like no matter how fast you mash A, it's not going to change what you're doing.
Yeah.
So do you feel like a combo system would have made this game better, Josh?
I think a combo system would have made up for a lot, and it would have made a lot of the issues much less glaring.
Right.
Well, I think it clearly wasn't focused on combat. It was focused on puzzles, and the bosses were sort of like puzzles more than they were combat experiences.
But the puzzles were easier than half the puzzles in the game.
No, that's
Right.
true.
I was
That's very
gonna
true.
say, Shadow of the Colossus was a game where the bosses were puzzles. You know,
Yeah, that's true.
combat.
Yep.
This was it was combat.
Well, it's hard to compare things to Shadow of the Colossus.
Yeah.
In,
Especially things from 1999.
yeah.
Yeah, but like with Zephron, I think that was his name.
The
I
boss
can't
after
even
Kain is Zephyr.
Yeah. Okay, yeah. All you really had to do was he had like these Oh, it's Zephon. Sorry.
Oh.
There's no R.
Stefan.
All you had to do is he had like long arm tentacle type things, and he would shoot them into the ground, and they would get stuck. And so you would hit them, and this egg would come out of this strange hole in his body. And then all you'd have to do is light the egg on fire and
If
throw
I had
the
a
egg at
dollar
him.
for every time I heard about an egg coming out of a strange hole in a man's body,
You'd have.
Okay,
one
Zephon
dollar.
is not.
You'd have a
man.
submarine full of eggs.
I'd have a submarine full of eggs.
I feel like Zephon looks like the queen from like Alien.
Yeah.
Stefan was definitely a thing.
Yeah. Okay, so Jordan, you want to talk about some of the like puzzle solving?
Sure. Yeah, so this game was definitely a puzzle game. I kind of, as I was playing it, it kind of felt like a very dark, gritty version of like a Zelda game, like a 3D Zelda game. You know what I mean? So it had that, you'd like go into an area, right, and you'd have a vague objective in mind, and by vague I mean pretty much none at all. Like you were theoretically supposed to find somebody somewhere in this giant vast complex, and naturally you solved puzzles that could only ever be solved once by anybody, to get there, and there was occasionally combat on the way. So the puzzles were pretty cool. Like I wasn't.
What?
They were okay, I should say, and some of them were cool. Like the first time, it was like a lot of what happened in this game. Like, and I felt the same way with the gimmicks and stuff like that, which I'll talk about. Like the first time, I had one of the puzzles where you got to like flip the blocks over. Like the first time they give you the giant movable blocks that were in every puzzle game in the 1990s, the giant movable blocks. And so like the first time you get those, it's like, okay, whatever. But then one of the puzzles they give you, you had to like flip them around, and they had different
Put them
images.
on top of each other
and flip one on top. I was like, oh, that was cool. And then after the fourth straight time I did a puzzle that still used that mechanic, I was like, okay.
When that came up, when it was like press C and weird triangle shape to flip box, I had no idea what it was saying.
Yeah.
I kept hitting the up arrow and then like C and A and C and up at the same time. It took me forever to flip a box the first time. It pissed me off.
So
No, and on top of the flipping boxes, like there was one Jordan was saying that has like images on it, and I flipped a box into a hole, like upside down, and I had to basically restart because there was no way to fix it.
Okay, amazing story. So I pushed one of the boxes with the image the right way, and there were two of them. I pushed one of them the right way into the hole, and it clicked. And then I didn't realize that I could flip them over at any time because I was so confused with the control from when I'd learned it previously. So I just pushed the other one in with the wood facing the symbol, which obviously shouldn't have worked. Then I closed my game because I was pissed off that it wasn't working. And then I reopened it later when I realized that I could flip them anytime. Well, when you load the game, you have to walk all the way back to where you were for whatever weird symbol you decide to choose. And then the door just opened. The gate just opened when I walked in.
Nice.
And I was like, what? I was like, I really figured out how to do this for nothing because the gate just opened when the blocks were in the wrong configuration. And then it was like still facing the wrong way and everything, the block was. I tried to pull it out, it wouldn't let me. So I was like, okay, guess I'll take what the game gives me.
Speaking of which,
Speaking of starting at the very beginning.
Oh God, this
every
game
freaking time you have to open the game.
Yeah.
That just made me not want to play from the second I opened it. Because what's the point of saving in the middle of a giant castle when you don't even get to start the game there again.
Right, especially the really long, complicated puzzle where you had to like jump over the top of the room and stuff. I stopped in the middle of that, and I was like, every time I just had to jump back over the top of the room, switch between the two worlds because that's what that puzzle wanted you to do.
Yeah, and it was like the game was like consistently a test of my patience because not only that, but like a lot of these puzzles were like big, long jumping platforming sections, and we'll talk about the platforming later. But like any small mess up, like if you fell off that was like a 5-minute walk to get back to where you were.
Yeah, thankfully it saved where your like puzzle was in.
Yeah,
but
it was.
So I have a question about that though. I have a question about that I asked in the pre-show though. Is this a problem of being spoiled by modern games? We've asked this question a lot on this show, but it's like,
are we used to?
Well, everything. Are we used to modern save mechanics and checkpoints and all the stuff that's come since this game?
No,
but even the original Pokemon in 1997 had a better save feature than this.
And even like, I'm fine with starting at the beginning, even though it's really stupid. But if they had just numbered the worlds, that would have been way better. That would have already improved the save system by 1,000,000.
Yeah, the worlds were all given, for anybody who hasn't played the game, like the different levels that you went to were all given these symbols. And
arbitrary
the symbols,
zigzag shape.
And unless you were really paying attention to...
I couldn't ever figure out where I was going.
Yeah, so they like give you a warp gate kind of thing, right? And you'd be like, okay, which one do I go to? And then you had to meticulously remember which ridiculously silly symbol it was. It didn't
I would just scroll backwards through the unlocked ones till I got to the one that was unlocked, and I'm like, I'll go here.
Yeah. The other thing I didn't like... Which
gate should I take?
Yeah. The other thing I didn't like in terms of puzzles, and then we can move on to something else, was the realm switching. Like from the, what is it called, spirit world to the normal world. This, like the rest of the game, seemed ridiculously underdeveloped and absolutely pointless. Like, because you were always losing health and could go into the spirit world at any time, there always had to be a way because you needed full health to get out of the spirit world. So it just seemed completely pointless. The other thing that was completely pointless is, you'd have to use it to solve puzzles. Like when you go into the spirit world, platforms would change and things like that, but there was no rhyme or reason to how the platforms would change. You know what I mean? The handful of times I like guessed at it, I went into the spirit world, was like, well, nope, that didn't change at all, and then had to find my way back. I mean, there was like the first time they make you use it, there's like a bunch of platforms that stick out of a wall only in the spirit world, and there's no way to really distinguish these in the normal world. And the only way you would have figured that out is if you did what I did, which is wander around this fairly large room for 20 minutes and then realize...
Yeah, I got killed in that room, which is the only way I figured it out. Yeah. I died in human form, and then I was a spirit, and I was like, oh, look, platforms.
Yeah, there was like no way for you to ever know that. And then every time you messed up or died or had to go back through it, you had to like go into the spirit world, make the 3 jumps, go back out of the spirit world, make the other 3 jumps, go back into the spirit world again. Like the times where you would like pull a lever and then go in the spirit world so the lever would stay. Or something like that. Like that was cool. That was an inventive use of it. All the times where they just arbitrarily decided that the platforms were going to change in this particular spot, that drove me crazy and seemed to serve no purpose.
I just want to throw out there that yes, this is annoying now, but Legend of Zelda: Ocarina of Time made you restart the dungeon every time you came back. Like there are a lot of other games that are very successful games that had a lot of these same frustrating mechanics.
Well, I don't know about that.
The problem is, the puzzles in Zelda were dynamic, and the combat was rather dynamic too.
And there was at least some reward to combat.
I'm not saying this game is better than Zelda. I'm just saying in its time, this game had a lot of the same problems that other games had.
Okay.
I hate to say it, but I'm not that big of a fan of the 3D Zelda games.
I have honestly not.
Okay, hipster Josh.
At all. So
well,
they're
similar.
They're good, but I don't think they do anything that this game didn't do.
Well, they're similar, and I think it's a fair comparison. They're quite similar.
I just want to throw out there before we continue. I decided to go on Steam and look at the manual for the game.
Hell yeah!
There is no such thing. They do not talk. They talk about warp gates, but they do not explain which one's which or why they're important. There is literally nothing important in the manual other than they tell you which clan is which.
Oh, great, because the lore of this world is something I really wanted to get deeper into.
Can we talk about the fact that the world is named Nazgul?
Yeah, they couldn't have screamed more Lovecraft if they had said, the name of the world is Craft Love,
I get it.
I just think there was a lot of like exposition-y British stage actor sort of stuff that I actually kind of liked. I mean, the sound work wasn't very good. We're gonna hear that when I play clips. Like the actual sound itself was not the best, but I actually kind of liked the
cool.
like overly serious, like, brother, what have you done? You've forsaken me. Like that kind of dialogue I actually kind of liked. It worked for me.
Yeah, I was fine with it.
Yeah, I thought the dialogue was good too.
I liked
thought it was engaging.
What dialogue I could understand that wasn't in Raymanese?
The only problem I did have was I felt like the lore was maybe a little too dense. Where like and I did not play Blood Omen, so maybe if you play Blood Omen, the world made a lot more sense. But I felt like it kind of had like Lord of the Rings syndrome, where they would like spout off names that I was supposed to know, but I had no idea who that person was.
Yeah, it had the Rayman sequel problem, where because this was a sequel and I didn't really know, like I didn't play the first game, I had to assume all these things. Like I assumed, the guy who was named Kain was probably not the king of, like Sunshine and Rainbow Ponies. He was probably a bad guy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Well, the other issue I had is there's a lot of plot elements that they introduced in this game which just weren't explained. And I understand that because there was supposed to be a second half of this game. But, like, Kane's sort of evil, but he's sort of rooting you on the whole time. And it didn't really make sense until I looked up, the next 3 games, because apparently it took 3 games to explain everything.
Yeah.
And then it made more sense. But, like, as this game stands alone, there was a lot of it where I was just thinking, like, this, what?
Right.
Yeah, that's how I felt. And I also felt like it had the Dead Space problem where the world, like the apocalyptic world, didn't look all that much worse from what the actual world kind of
I think
like.
that was a graphical limitation, though, because it was an early game.
Yeah, no, that's true. Nothing seemed like it was ever that much of a nice place to live or anything like that.
Well, in their defense, Kane was kind of a dick.
Yeah, I mean, I recognize that was the point. It just seemed funny to me.
You don't want to live in post-apocalyptic vampire world, Jordan? You get a cool crossbow.
It's like Twilight, Jordan. You love Twilight.
I love Twilight.
Move on to the next.
One thing
point
I did want to comment about the Twilight thing really quick. That reminds me. One thing I did want to comment is this kind of brought me back to like good old days of vampires before Twilight existed, where like the Anne Rice days and like where like vampires were a very specific, different aesthetic. Like
what about the Bram Stoker days?
No. This is like post Bram Stoker, but like
it's like Interview with the Vampire days.
Yeah, this is like right when that stuff was starting to get really big. I feel like, well, maybe a little bit after. But I was really into those early Anne Rice novels, and I really liked that like vampire lore type stuff. So this kind of brought me back to that of like, oh, vampires used to be so cool, and then they got Twilight-icized.
Didn't Anne Rice like go crazy and renounce all her works or something?
Yeah, no, she turned super Christian, renounced all of her works, and started writing like Christian angel fiction, crazy stuff.
Oh, that's way less fun than.
Isn't that still just vampires?
Okay.
And there goes our Bible vouchers.
Yeah,
clearly none of us are
one-star reviews. One-star reviews from people who follow Kaballah and from Christians.
Clearly, we were not the podcast for the Westboro Baptist Church.
Yeah. Oh, damn. What
a surprise on that one.
Yeah. I think if we were working for that, we fucked that up a long time ago.
Yep.
Yeah, pretty much. Okay, so
platforming.
Let's move on.
By the way, in the beginning, when Kain is all like, I have evolved, and now you, my lieutenants, will evolve. And he's like, but Razio, you evolved to look too good, so I'm going to screw you over.
Yeah, I felt like that was kind of trite. Like,
how dare you be prettier than me?
It's because he's fucking David Bowie, dude. I'm telling you. David Bowie the vampire. Everyone go watch the intro to that game and tell me that that's not David Bowie. Everyone listening to the show.
Well, I expect him to be listening to Linkin Park the whole time, and I'm pretty sure that's the right time for it.
Yeah, actually, this did have a very...
Yeah, it's true.
I
it's like goth David Bowie. Okay, so we kind of talked about what works and what doesn't today, but like, what are some updates you guys are thinking about that would need to happen? I mean, I think better saving. Yeah,
well, let's move beyond the technical. You know, I mean, look at it from a design standpoint, because obviously stuff like better saves and mouse controlled. I mean, those are just technical things.
Well, I think
blocks faster.
Yeah,
better combat and more varied combat.
Yeah, agreed. The combat was a big problem, but it clearly wasn't a focus.
Right.
And
No, but
maybe that was a mistake.
Throwing an enemy into a wall or impaling them the first time was interesting, but by time 500, it was not interesting anymore.
No.
You know,
Even though they tried to have a variety of stuff, there wasn't enough of it for it to be
that's right.
interesting.
I was really hoping like the kind of big gimmicks like the soul stealing, the realm switching would be more like of an active thing that you would do. Like when I first saw the soul stealing thing, I was like, oh, maybe you'll get to like steal the abilities of
Mega
like
Man.
enemies, you know, or something like that for a short period of time, you know. So you'd like have to
Kirby style.
selectively decide, you know, how you killed. You know,
That'd be really cool.
in what order or something like that. Or I thought, you know, like the realm switching, you could like, you know, dodge attacks or like find weak points in enemies in the spirit world or something. Like I was hoping they would just be
like
a little
phase
more
out of it really slowly.
Why didn't you
or, like,
design
really,
this
really
game,
quickly?
Jordan?
I don't know.
Awesome.
I think that would be really cool and just make
would've
those
been.
two gimmicks less gimmicky and more integral. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
there's like a reason that.
Integral?
Yeah, that one too. There's like a reason that, you know, like in every game, there's like the one level where you have the two worlds, right? Or there's like the one boss where you have the two worlds. You know what I mean? There's a reason why that's usually like a one-trick pony. And I thought if they had made it just a little more dynamic and a little more involved in the general gameplay, it would have been really cool. So that was like my big, why didn't you guys do that in 1999?
I expected the eating the souls to upgrade you somehow. Like a game that did this really well was The Darkness.
Yeah.
For PlayStation, Xbox 360, and all
played
those, where you know you didn't gain new powers from eating people, but the more people you ate, you got a damage modifier that constantly stacked. So you
Or
know,
like
if you-
prototype where you eat
Kind of.
people. That could be
Yeah.
cool too.
but like I just felt like eating people to restore your health was
Which
boring.
didn't even matter anyway.
Right, health pickups as a system have existed for a long time before Legacy of Kain and will exist a long time after. Like, it was
well,
just a
and
clever
it's-
way of saying collect the red orbs.
Yeah.
And it's also that they didn't really, I feel like they didn't really improve on that health system, and in fact they kind of made it worse, where it's like the AI of the orbs was so bad
I like how you
sometimes,
could
where
like suck it in when it was next to you. It'd miss, go like
Yeah.
across the
Yeah.
room and then come back.
it would
They,
like miss,
somebody, you know,
like
somebody
orbit
worked really,
around
really
you.
hard. Yeah, somebody worked really, really hard on the pathing for those swirly orbs, damn it. And you were going to
Yeah,
see it and appreciate it every time.
Yeah,
They probably
which
wanted a tail so they could draw pictures, but the developers were like, no.
well, which was fine, like when you were in the spirit world and just kind of getting one back to go into the
Not
other
pressure.
world. But when you were like in the middle of a fight or in a boss fight, like that was really frustrating.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh,
And it
and,
seemed like right when you decided to suck up an orb was when the enemies decided that they
Right.
knew how to fight.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, I'm
Their
supposed to hit
dodge for
them?
no reason. Yeah, and start hitting you. Yeah.
Yeah, they would snap out of their Jet Li Enter the Dragon one-on-one fighting mentality.
my
Not
main,
Enter the Dragon. That's Bruce Lee.
Oh, sorry,
My-
Bruce Lee. You're right.
my
Evan.
main update
ahead,
to
Ev.
the game would definitely be like get a map.
Yeah, right.
Get
We
a
didn't
map,
mention
son.
that. A map would have been amazing.
Like anything to make if there is one thing to make Legacy of Kain Soul Reaver better, would be having a map. And I probably wouldn't have as many complaints as I would.
I know they're really attached to their random symbols, but like just picture this. A map with random symbols that show where you've been, and then you pick the random symbol that represents the farthest you've been, and oh my god, then you can have random symbols and still like know where you are.
Yeah, like the
Whoa,
levels were
you're-
so. I mean, it was kind of cool that they weren't super linear, but it's like when you had to wind your way through, or if you wanted to get back, like a map would have done wonders.
I had no problem with the non-linearity if you didn't have to rerun through levels and you didn't have to like choose random warps.
Yeah.
Well, I think
'Cause-
to their credit, there were a lot of levels where like once you got to a certain point, you could like push down a block that would allow you to get back to where you were really quickly from the warp
They
point.
did
or, like,
try
kind
and
of
do that
stuff.
a bit. That's true.
yeah.
Which Zelda tried to do too. Like there were a lot of points in that game where like you'd push a block or open a locked door that made the level a lot shorter when you restarted the dungeon.
Right, or when you like got to the end, you didn't have to walk all the way back through. You could just like drop down a pit or something like that.
Right.
But
yeah,
it would have
exactly.
been nice to have not had to deal with that still.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
no,
mean, part of me, I don't know enough about late '90s game design to really say anything, but like part of me wonders what part of that was a like aesthetic game decision and what part of that was a like technical limitation.
Yeah, I agree. It's hard to know what the technical limitations were back then, just because there's like no technical limitations nowadays compared to this. Like one guy in his basement could make this game now.
Yeah, pretty much.
And at the end of the day, those are fairly nitpicks.
People made this game, so
yeah.
You know, this was not a huge AAA title like you saw.
It's true.
You know, this was a 12-person game, and it's impressive for what it is. And at the time.
Okay, so that's pretty much all we have for the game. Do you guys want to wrap anything up before we do quick attacks? Any other last comments you got?
Maybe like an overall summary of it.
You can do sound.
Well, that's for the wrap-ups later.
Oh, sound clips. You're right. Sound clips. You're right. I totally forgot about sound clips.
This is like your baby, and I just saved it. You,
I know,
you left it at home. You abandoned it.
You dropped it in the river, and he picked it up later.
Sound clips are my favorite thing. I don't know what that means.
In a river.
Okay. Okay, so let's do some sound clips really quick. Okay, so here's one that I captured. This is titled Good Dialogue.
Show yourself, creature. Do you not recognize me, brother? Am I so changed? Elkaya?
I thought that was cool. I liked that kind of
that techno beat.
Well, the techno beat wasn't really my favorite part, but I liked the back and forth and the my brother, like I don't know. I thought that was cool.
It was cool. The voice acting was not that bad at all.
I liked the voice acting.
Yeah, I thought it was pretty good.
Elder God,
especially compared to Overlord, which is a way later game.
Yeah, well, it fit the atmosphere, right? It fit the super serious, gothic, morbid tone. You know what I mean? I thought it was a little over the top, but that fit. You know what I mean? It fit in the tone that it was going for.
Yeah, definitely.
I really like the Elder God voice.
Yeah, he had a cool voice.
So, speaking of, this one is called Sounds Like King Tyrannus, and even though he's not. So this is a little dialogue moment they have at the beginning of the game that I felt like ended a little bit awkwardly.
You are weak. You must feed. The old hunger has left me. I have no desire for blood. You are changed. Your bloodthirst is replaced by a deeper need.
So then it got really awkward from there. I didn't really know what to make of where it went.
Your tentacles, they are so shiny.
Wow, that was.
Oh my god!
I did not expect that. Like I thought, I was trying to think back. I was thinking back to the actual dialogue, and I was like, "Wow, did that end on a weird note?" And then the porn music.
Then Kenny G walked in the room.
Well played, John.
Oh, that's the one I should have threw on the end of that. Yeah. This guy doesn't like George Michael. Boo! Boo!
Who ordered the saxogram? Don't play it again. Play it again? When the rest just fine. Okay, we're leaving. We're leaving. Hey, play that George Michael song real quick.
Okay, so this is another one that I captured because there was a part in the game where they told you to sneak up behind a guy, and I felt like this was the loudest.
Why you were supposed to sneak up to him? You could totally.
I ran so fast into that guy that he like attacked me long before I knew I was supposed to sneak up to him.
Yeah, pretty much.
Never worked for me ever.
But
I never.
I called this loudest sneak ever. Was the name of this sound clip.
Yeah, the sneak sounds were definitely questionable.
It sounds like
who is that?
Sorry to make more than one SpongeBob reference, but it sounds like when
I know.
SpongeBob creeps the roof in that same episode.
Brad still has to wear his waterlogged leather shoes to work that day.
Exactly. So I did not like the music in this game very much. I felt like it was really kind of, I mean, it was atmospheric, but I felt like the sound quality itself was not very good. And
okay, good. Because
I just
my
didn't
sound
feel
was always
like
skipping. I had no idea if the music actually sounded that bad or if it was.
You didn't.
All right.
You didn't really miss too much, but I did capture this because I felt like this was the only song that I really liked. It wasn't like the song in Rayman where I like listened to it outside of the game and was like, oh, this is a great song. But this was one that kind of I was like, oh, that's a pretty good song. So I captured that.
Song
I'm always
that
looking for
that you played at the end of that cutscene that you listen to all the time.
Yeah, exactly. Porno music is kind of my thing. I got like so much of that. So, but this was the only good music I liked from the game. I just felt like it was atmospheric. Like I liked how this went along with where you were.
It's pretty cool.
And then that second part was one of the dynamic transitions. So we talked about this in Dungeons of Dreadmore also, where that game had dynamic music. But that part where it got quiet and went to a different chord, that was like when I went into the water. So it like kind of had this transition that sounded really normal in the game, but switched the music, which I thought was kind of cool.
I'm gonna make a really weird reference, but I don't know if any of you played NFL Street. That game had amazing dynamic sound. That's the best dynamic sound example of any game I've ever played.
I did play it, but I do not remember.
It was so cool. Whenever anything happened, like the music would change. There'd be like record scratches when there was like a totally crazy shit would happen.
Skylar, I think I played that with you. Like that.
Probably at my house.
That's like Bastion.
Bastion did that too.
Yeah, Bastion's got good dynamic music
and way less street.
I think
this Bastion is way less street. I
think it'd be really fun. I think it'd be really fun to do a sports game that's not like I don't want to do a Madden game, but I think it would be really fun to do like
NBA Jam.
NBA Jam. That's on Steam, isn't it? Or Blitz. NBA Blitz.
You can tell we're not sports people here at 5 on the.
Honestly, they need to make Space Jam. It's Bastion.
Oh my god! They just need to make Space Jam. I don't care if it means anything.
Dude, they did make Space Jam.
What?
I had that on PS2.
Come on in, Slam, and welcome to the Jam. Space Jam redefined the sports game genre.
What?
Nobody?
What?
Yeah, Space Jam, the basketball game. We had it.
Special announcement: our next game will be Space Jam.
Space Jam, we're doing it. Okay. All right, this is I have 2 more clips. This one is titled "Soul Reaver Worst Screams Ever." This was when you were standing in the Lake of Souls after you were already the vampire dude.
I didn't even talk about that bullshit where water just murdered the crap out of you.
Yeah, I don't know.
Kind of cool.
I thought it was fine. Anyway, these were some of the screams, quote unquote. I call them that. They're not really. They don't really sound like screams, but some of the things you could hear. And this was the part where I was like, "Oh, the audio in this game is so bad." Okay, here we go. It was like the same 4 stock screams that would it was like when you're playing Roller Coaster Tycoon. Yeah, exactly. I'm pretty sure it was an elk.
That's I was gonna say. It sounded like a bird or an elk. Yeah.
Elk.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with elk.
I like elk. They're wonderful.
So that was kind of and then I also captured this from the fight with Kain, mostly because I thought it was really funny. So here I'm gonna start playing it and then because it's a long clip.
The Soul Reaver, Kain's ancient blade, older than any of us and 1,000 times more deadly. The legends claim.
So the funniest thing about this whole explanation he's giving is that while he's giving it, Kain is literally standing there, jostling back and forth, waiting to start the fight, while you're having this pontification in your head about what the Soul Reaver blade is. And I just thought that was really funny. That Kain would just sit there and wait for 30 seconds while you explain to the player what the Soul Reaver blade is, and that there's no other point where that could have been done.
There.
Yeah, pretty much. Okay, so that's all the clips I have. Do you guys want to do quick attacks first, or
let's do quick attacks.
I did want to add something really quick. I kind of forgot it, but I remembered it now. Speaking of when he was talking about the Soul Reaver, I noticed that the Soul Reaver didn't really make much of a difference when killing enemies. So when you call it the most powerful sword or weapon,
he says 1,000 times more powerful than any weapon.
But it still took 3 hits to knock out the same units.
Yeah, I hated that. The fact that
behold, the arbitrarily greatest weapon ever in a submarine.
Yay.
It was like the whole half of the gimmick was that you were supposed to be slowly losing your tethering to the real world, right? Except you could only use the Soul Reaver when you had full health, and when you had full health, you wouldn't lose your health over time. It was
they just needed the Sword of 1,000 Truths.
Yeah, it was like they had the idea of okay, we want them to be able to use the Soul Reaver, and then they were like, okay, but how? And then it just like it didn't make any sense at all. Why you got it at full health and only at full health when you probably didn't need it anyway, and it like completely defeated the purpose of the timed life. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
It was-
pretty much.
I hate
Well, and also I feel like this is back to the puzzle stuff, but the timed life, the only time that ever got annoying was when you were trying to figure out a puzzle, and like there was definitely a few times where I was just like, okay, well, I guess I'm gonna go to the spirit world because I can't figure out
And
this
often
puzzle
that
in
was
time.
the solution. Don't forget that.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's
Sometimes it
true.
was, and you're just
And
like,
half the time it was like, oh, well, I guess I needed to die here. Whatever.
Maybe that was just really genius way of telling you that you need to go back to the spirit world.
Okay.
I don't know.
You
Okay.
suck at figuring out puzzles.
Yeah.
It's like if
Pretty
GLaDOS
much.
would taunt you every 15 minutes that went by in Portal.
You're adopted.
Yeah.
Except by taunting you, she gave you the answer to the puzzle.
Yeah. She was like, man,
You're
you're,
too
so
stupid to
dumb
figure out
not
the
to know
portal
about that box
right
over
there."
there. Yeah.
That's right.
An adopted kid could shoot a portal at that white space on the wall.
Exactly. Exactly. If your parents were here right now, they'd probably be telling you not to be so stupid. You know?
To transfer into the spirit world.
Yeah. Sean,
Yeah,
you need to go back in
exactly.
editing and auto-tune that.
Yeah. Okay, I will. Good idea.
I get it.
All right. Okay, let's move on to quick attacks.
Can it be T-Pain auto-tune and not GLaDOS
Because you
auto-tune?
use quick attack.
Yes, we can do T-Pain auto tuning on that. That's a good idea. Okay. So let's start with Evan. What have you been playing?
Okay, so I would say that my quick attack these past couple weeks has been Half-Life 2. I'm playing again because when I played it once, it just wasn't good enough. So I had to play it again.
I've never finished that game.
Oh my God, I was gonna say that, Skylar. I was
Sean, high five.
I was gonna
Bam.
I was gonna say that is on my list of shame of I cannot play Half-Life 2. That game is not appealing to me at all.
And
I got really
you're
bored.
both out of the Church of Gaben.
But then again,
But I
care
love
got
Portal.
the graphics done, so.
I don't care. You're out.
I played through Portal 2 like 6 times. That game's
Wait,
great.
who wants to be in the Church of Gaben besides
Everyone.
Gaben himself?
Have you ever been
I don't
to
know,
Reddit or 4chan?
I
Josh
stay away from those places.
Josh really likes his Facebook picture that's him and Gaben from BlizzCon.
Which is like
I'm
the
not gonna
worst
lie.
picture of both of you, by the way.
I know, it's like the worst picture ever.
Really bad about is I met him at the snack bar, and I didn't want to make that joke. But I literally met him at the snack bar, and I was like, oh man.
Were you like, I feel
Oh
like
my
there's
God.
some irony for me
Right,
meeting
I was
you.
like, I'm not sure if I should just like try and meet him at a different time or.
Just follow
Try
him
to
around
catch
for like 5
me.
minutes.
That's right.
Hey, Gaben.
Damn, SpongeBob, left, right, and center.
I know. Touch.
All work and no play makes Gaben a good game developer. Whatever.
I guess so. Okay, Jordan, what have you been playing?
I have been playing Terraria.
Real life?
What?
Yes.
I would
Also,
never expect you to play that game. What?
well, firstly, real life. I just started student teaching, and it's quite the time commitment and life commitment. But yes, I started playing Terraria.
He gets points for how many times he beats children.
And I got it over the Steam sale because it was $5 or whatever, and I thought it sounded kind of cool and kind of fun, something I could play kind of casually on and off. And I got ready for it. If you've been waiting for this all episode,
Got it for your girlfriend.
my girlboard into it.
Da
Yes,
da
so
da
she
da
and
da
I-
da da da.
You need a soundboard thing for.
Soundboard.
You're welcome.
If he gets a soundboard thing for it, it would.
Nuclear launch detected.
Okay.
Say it like 4 more times.
No, please don't. Anyway, moral of the story is it's been fun, just to kind of play, noodle around with. That's the game I've been playing. That and Skyrim because I just got a new graphics card, and Skyrim with mods and HDness looks very pretty, but mostly Terraria.
Okay,
Cool.
Jordan, here's something to remind you of your girlfriend.
Hey, has it been about 10 seconds since
Oh.
we looked at our lemon tree?
It has been about 10 seconds.
Seriously, for those of you who don't know, that's
Hey.
from a porno.
And you don't want to know. Like, that's
I
the
looked it
thing.
up, and I was like, damn.
Someday,
Don't-
someday we'll tell our BlizzCon story about that
No,
porno.
no, no.
Like, that'll be, but when we break
Just-
the 20,000
Wait, I've never
subscriber
heard
mark,
this
we'll tell
story.
that story.
No, tell it now.
No, we're not gonna tell it now. Just go watch the intro. Search for Lemon Tree on YouTube. It's the most
Watch it.
hilarious.
Okay,
It is the most hilarious 4 minutes you will ever spend. There's
Yeah,
no
you
pornography
can
in
probably
it.
find that legendary part without the pornography.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying. On YouTube, you can find it without the porn. You just find the intro, and it's fucking hilarious.
Find it with the pornography.
Or you can find it with the pornography. Just email SkylarSokol@gmail.com.
Thanks for giving out my last name on a podcast.
You've liked the Facebook page. Everybody knows what your last name is anyway.
Which Skylar I am. We talked about Zach Sokol on the last show, and we had the same name. Just know it. Just edit all of this out.
Everybody's gonna know your last name. It's fine. Don't worry about it.
Do I give out my social security number while we're at it?
Yeah, 6969.
I had to do a lot to get that, by the way.
You had to pull a lot of strings. Okay, Skylar. Skylar, what have you been playing?
I had to pick a lot of lemon trees, if you know what I mean. Anyway, I've been playing. I have two. I know that's cheating, but I played. One of them's really short. There's this new indie game that came out called Bleed. You play a girl with purple hair. It's like a run-around shooter game that's mouse-controlled and amazing controls and really fun, and you can like triple jump, air dash, and it's really short. I beat it in like 2 hours. Yeah, it's really fun. So I recommend it to everyone. It's like $10 or $15. It's good. Yeah. Anyway,
10 or $15 for a 2-hour experience.
Wait,
it's called 2 hours, but there's tons of replayability. There's like multiple character unlocks. There's like a bunch of weapons, and there's like 4 difficulty levels.
Bleed or They Bleed Pixels?
No, Bleed. This is different than They Bleed Pixels. It's called
Bleed.
You should play it, Josh. I think you would like it a lot. It's really cool.
Pixels.
Anyway, the game I've been actually playing a ton is a mobile game called Ingress.
Jesus Christ.
I've been obsessed. It's made by Niantic Labs, which is like kind of part of Google. And
Niantic's made up.
Right. It's made, but I don't think Google. It's kind of complicated because my friend who worked for Google talked to Google about it, and Google didn't really know that much about it.
Because Google is an all-knowing one-person entity, apparently.
No, they're very transparent. But anyway, so basically, landmarks in the real world, like museums, statues, outdoor like businesses, tons of different stuff, are portals in the game. You travel to different portals in the game. You hack them for your team. You get items that let you hack the portals, then you get items that let you fortify the portals. Once the portal's well enough fortified, you can link it to other portals, and the fortifications determine how the distance the links can be. Once you link multiple portals into a polygon, then you get points for the population that lives within that polygon. And you're on like 2 separate factions. Everyone in the world picks
so it's like a turf war thing.
Yeah, it's really cool.
In the real world.
They're in the real world. And there's a whole alternate reality game associated with it, with like tons of lore, and it's pretty cool. It's been fun. It's in beta right now, so you have to like ask for an invite to get one.
So it's like Tony Hawk Pro Skater graffiti mode.
Yes,
in the
exactly.
real world. Yes,
that's exactly what I was. That is my real world. I go around graffitiing things on my skateboard as Darth Maul,
turning things blue or red.
Little known fact: he is Tony Hawk.
Yeah, true story.
I don't know.
Shh, don't tell anybody.
Check it out. Ingress.
Yeah. All right, Joshua.
Worst quick attack ever.
I know. What? Joshua, what have you been playing?
Longer than everybody else's quick attacks.
I had to explain the game. People would be like, a mobile game? What the fuck?
I like how Jordan's like the fucking policeman douchebag of quick attacks. Like, every single episode, he's like criticizing everyone else's quick attack.
Game in like 2 sentences, 3 sentences. Then Skylar gives us a small dissertation on Ingress and Google and.
Sorry, I don't get to talk all day, Jordan. This is my only chance.
Where is only friends, Jordan?
Fair enough.
I hear him talk all day.
All right, go ahead, Josh.
Joshua, go.
Okay, my quick attack's actually gonna shock you guys, and my quick attack's actually Dota 2.
What?
And this is a shocker, is because quick attack's what we've been playing recently, not what we've been enjoying recently.
Oh, there it is. Yeah.
Oh my god. Wait, this has already been a quick attack, Josh. I don't think this is allowed. You need to come up with
I have been trying to get into Dota 2 because people keep telling me it's great. I've been trying. I really do want to like it.
Have you been turned off by the fact that everything looks like one giant gray or green blob on each side?
You mean as opposed to everything looks like one giant anime girl?
At least you can tell distinct differences between things.
Shut up and let me talk.
Let Josh bitch about the game.
Let the submarine narrator talk.
That everything has so much bloom on it, it could have started in Lord of the Rings.
You can turn off the bloom.
And a bloom joke.
Just saying.
But it's just the fact that powers aren't clearly defined. There's really no way of knowing the range on most things. The UI is really clumsy. The store is
So
horrendous.
What?
And just the gameplay feels tight, but there are many MOBAs out there that have tight gameplay. It's the presentation of it is all pretty graphics and it's not clean cut.
Okay, I can disagree with every point you made, but I won't.
I actually have to agree with Skylar. Normally, I only make this argument for giggles and fun's sake, but I have to agree with Skylar.
The store is way more intuitive than the League of Legends store.
Hey, you said you wouldn't.
Yeah.
Stop it.
Sorry.
One day on 5 on the 5, since we're pretty much split halfway between.
But Dota 2 comes out and it's free to play, and League of Legends is free to play. We'll do a dual game episode.
That'd actually be kind of funny.
We should do them versus Heroes of New Earth because we need something to beat up on.
I played Han for over a year, and yeah, it's not good anymore.
We'll invite John on, and he can talk about Han.
Does he play
Han? All right,
yeah,
Sean,
he still
stop
plays
talking
Han.
about Han with John.
Oh.
Let's get on.
Name John.
Wow, that was horrible, Jordan. Okay, well, my quick attack has been Tales of Games Studios presents Chef Boyardee's Barkley Shut Up and Jam Gaiden, Chapter 1 of the Hoops Barkley Saga.
Yes, that game's so good.
Which is awesome. And
That's a real thing, by the way. If people aren't familiar,
that is a real game. Search for Barkley's Shut Up and Jam. It's free. You can download it. We thought about doing it on the show, but felt like maybe it wouldn't fit completely. So let us know if you'd want us to do that. But it's really fun. The sense of humor is really, really good. The writing is really good. I love Space Jam, so anything having to do with Space Jam is awesome. And I'm excited to play more of it. Yeah, I'm only probably like 2.5 hours into it or something, so I'm not super far, but it's awesome. And there's the second one that's coming out that got kickstarted, and it's gonna have like cutscenes and everything because they got way past their funding, so it'll be pretty sweet. The only thing I'm sad about is their stretch goal for 250,000 was licensing the Space Jam song so they could have it in there, and that makes me really sad that they didn't get there. Yeah, they got to like 125, and their stretch goal for 250 was they would license the Space Jam song.
Wait, let me say one thing about their Kickstarter, because I don't know if people probably didn't see it. It's amazing. Because the $1,000 pledge mark, which was one backer allowed, is pose as Tales of Games during an interview plus all previous rewards. Being a prestigious edutainment VidCon corporation, Tales of Game is often interviewed by the gaming media. At the $1,000 reward tier, you will impersonate us during an interview. If the interview is through email, we will redirect all questions to you, and if it is in person, you will pose as a member of the Tales of Games team. Answer questions however you want, make things up, ruin our reputation, throw your feces, have a blast. We will not announce the Switch before or after. It is a secret. Go nuts.
I'm really glad that Skylar did not have an extra $1,000 because he spent it all on Steam.
Also, the $10,000 pledge was have lunch with pictures of the developers. We will send you pictures of every developer for you to have lunch with. Tell them your great game ideas or how much you liked Barkley. No kissing on the lips. You were responsible for the cost of lunch.
Oh my god. Okay, so seriously, this sense of humor is throughout the entire game, and it is amazing.
Yeah, it is.
So,
The
anyway.
best part of the game is for about an hour sequence, it turns into a JRPG. You'll love it when you get there, Sean. It's hilarious. It's just randomly...
Isn't the whole game a JRPG? I thought that
You
was
don't even know.
the
It
whole
turns into the part where you can say, like, examine, pick up, attack on, like, every object in the area.
90s point-and-click adventure game, not a JRPG.
Yeah, that's what you mean, yeah. Yeah, because the rest of the combat is like Final Fantasy VII style.
Well,
because it was made in RPG Maker,
yeah,
right?
It's amazing. Everyone should play
Anyway,
it.
I'm excited.
Sure.
It's free. You should download it. It's pretty awesome. And Michael Jordan is like a bad guy police enforcer that is terribly animated, and it's great.
And Hoops Barkley, Charles Barkley's son, is awesome.
I haven't chaos jumped since that day.
And it's all like super serious, and it makes me laugh. It's really great. Okay.
I can feel them. A million b-balls dribbling all at once.
Yes.
Okay, so let's go backwards around the horn. Josh, do you want to tell us your 2-sentence wrap up?
I liked Legacy of Kain. If they tuned up the combat, I think it almost would have been a game I would have enjoyed a whole lot more than I did. As it stands, I still liked it a lot.
All right, Skylar?
Wow.
Now, this is rare, but I'm gonna go with Sean on Rayman and say Legacy of Kain Soul Reaver. No. I didn't let this on very much, but I didn't really like it. I thought it was too clunky for me to enjoy, and I don't know. The combat bored me a lot.
Longtime fans of the show should know this is a pretty rare thing to hear from Skylar.
Yeah,
I think this is the first game.
Skylar's kind of gaming's horror. He'll play anything.
This is like the first game that Skylar's really not liked.
Yeah.
Skylar
Like,
literally
after the
owns
tutorial
every
section-
single game on Steam. Like every single game Skylar owns.
Yeah. After the tutorial section, I like already knew I hated it, which may have given me a bad bias, but I just like couldn't play it anymore.
That's okay. That's how I felt all of Rayman, so I understand. Okay, Jordan.
So I ultimately just felt kind of disappointed and a little let down. Not enough to be like, I hate this, but, you know, I didn't walk away happy. Like I kind of talked about throughout, I felt like this game could have been so much fun if the mechanics and the gimmicks had just been a little more immersive, a little more in depth. And it just, like, I wanted to enjoy this game a lot. And a lot more than I think than a lot of the other games that I was kind of like XCOM, I was kind of the same way. I was like, I wanted to enjoy it, but it wasn't. This one, like, I really wanted it to be fun. I wasn't having it. It wasn't fun. It wasn't fun for the vast majority of it. So
Valid points.
I wanted to like it so much.
I did too, because it had a really cool like everything, but nope.
Okay, Evan, what was your 2 cents wrap up?
Well, I'm gonna echo basically everyone else.
Echo the dolphin.
Echo.
But I wanted to like the game, and I didn't really have a bad time either. I definitely enjoyed what I was doing when I was playing it, but I definitely noticed a lot of problems with it. But I mean, it's a 13-year-old game, 14-year-old game, so you know what can you do? But I can say that even though I liked what I was playing, it wasn't great.
So you're mad.
I just want to point out,
much.
I think all 4 of you and I had a very different experience since I used a controller.
I feel like that changed it significantly for you.
I feel like that really, really changed my experience of playing through the game. And yes, some of the mechanic stuff was still a bummer, like the saving and the warp gate stuff was kind of annoying, and all that stuff was still frustrating. But I feel like we had a very different gameplay experience playing through with the controller. So I guess that was kind of a convoluted 2 cents wrap up. But I liked Legacy of Kain. I felt like the aesthetic was cool, the voice acting was cool, and I actually really liked the puzzle solving. There were a few that kind of stumped me, and I was like, oh, this is kind of fun. And it did kind of scratch that Zelda itch a little bit for some of that puzzle solving stuff. But I do agree with Josh. I think the combat could have been a lot better. But anyway, okay. Does anyone have any other points before we wrap the show up? Head to Facebook.com/5on5 Gaming Podcast, right, Jordan?
With numbers, yeah, always with numbers.
Yeah.
5 on the 5.
5 on the 5 Gaming Podcast with numbers. And like the page, that's a good way to interact with us. We also have a Twitter account at 5 on the 5 Podcast, and our Gmail is 5on5podcast@gmail.com. But Facebook is probably the best place to get in touch with us, just because we all can see it and it's a little easier for all of us. But we're always looking for game ideas. Sometimes I'll post deals if I see them there, or you can just comment on stuff or let us know kind of what's going on in your playthroughs, because that's what I'm interested in.
Yeah, if you send us a message, we'll definitely respond.
Yeah, all of us have access to
I'll
the
probably
Facebook.
troll you, but that's okay.
I'll promise not to
Yeah.
let Skylar troll you.
Yeah, exactly. And if you're playing through the games along with us, send us an email to 5on5podcast gmail.com and let us know what your playthrough was like, or if you played Legacy of Kain when it first came out, what you remember about it, when did you play it, how old were you, what'd you think of it then.
Or if you
I'm always into that kind of stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, if you watched one of our episodes or listened to one of our episodes and then tried out one of the games we talked about in the past,
Yeah. Exactly.
No, talk to us.
Yeah, and like
talk about it at the end of an episode for sure.
Yeah, I was about to say we will read it for everyone to hear.
Definitely.
Unless we get like 75 emails this week.
No, we'll read them all in the voice impression of your choosing.
Yeah.
Wilford
We're
Brimley
gonna read them all.
for all of them. Wilford Brimley. for all
Ground
of them.
control to major email.
I recommend suggesting submarine voice impression because we already have
Yeah.
one drafted.
That's pretty much the only one.
Josh,
Here we go.
Buy and play.
Here is Wilford Brimley in a submarine. Did you know that if you're underwater and you eat 400 Twinkies, you're gonna get diabetes?
Oh, that was insensitive. I was expecting for you to go for like Red October, like because that actually happens in a submarine.
If you're a submarine, you can surrender to the Englishman.
I'm a Russian submarine captain.
With a Scottish accent.
Scotland.
Basically. Okay, so the next game we're going to be playing is Hitman Code 47. It is on GOG.com for $6. I know that we've been doing the $6 games on GOG more recently, but for these older games, it's nice because they're all patched to work on Windows 7, which is nice. But Hitman Codename 47, pick it up. We will be playing that next week. And other than that, I don't have anything else. You guys have anything to say?
All I have to say about that game is in Codename 47, game saves you.
Want to explain about how we're doing Chest High Walls on the off weeks?
Yeah. So just super quick, Josh hosts a show called Chest High Walls that talks about larger ideas in gaming, and so we're going to record those on the opposite weeks. So next weekend is going to be a Chest High Walls. Weekend after that's going to be 5 on the 5, just so we have 2 weeks in between 5 on the 5s to play games. But that's going to be a more regular schedule, so keep an eye out for that as well.
The same guys. It's all the same guys from this show, so that way you get your fix of us even when you're not getting your fix of us.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, well, that's all I got for this week. Thanks for listening. See you guys later.
Doodles.
Thank you guys. Bye.
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 No. if I can never hear that or the lemon stick, then I will live a happy life.
Good night, everyone. Did you stop recording yet, Sean?
Nope, still recording.
Okay, cool.
Nice.
Well, you'll have a wealth of nonsense to choose from.
No one would listen to this shit.